Yeah, today's session we are going to start with Dr. Subhashri Nauk. She is going to talk on technology and management education. Am I audible?
Yes, Professor, you are audible, very much audible.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, so before we start the session, just I want to make a few announcements with regard to the attendance part. See, as per the AICT, for those who are attending first time, no, for them actually these instructions are relevant. Those who have already attended, experience, for them, no, they must be knowing all these things, guidelines. As per AICT Atal, minimum 80% of attendance is required. Minimum 60% of marks you have to secure in the assessment test, which is going to happen on Friday evening between 9 and 7 and 10. And third one is you have to upload, you have to post your feedback after the program about the FDP. There is a standard format available in the AICT Atal portal. As participant, you have to log in that feedback link. No, you have to click and you have to post your feedback. This feedback is for the FDP, not a session wise. Okay, standard format is there that you can fill it up and post it. These are the three important criterions are required to get the certificate directly from AICT Atal. Okay, if even one criteria is not there, not met, then AICT Atal, no, they are not in a position to generate the certificates. This is the first point. Second point, you need not worry much on the PPT's part or everything done for the participants. So at the end of the program, I am going to get the PPTs from the speakers, and I'll share with the registered participants. Your email IDs and contact details are already available with us. And as per the AICT guidelines, we have to upload these PPTs, some documents and all there in their portal. From there also you'll be able to get it. So you need not worry on PPTs. Everything will be made available to you after the program. So in between, you need not to bother these things. Thirdly, we are not going to take any feedback session wise. If you want to post your feedback in the chat box, you can post your feedbacks, your queries, and you can ask questions, all those things. Okay, session wise, we are not going to take any feedback. And your attendance, as you know, we are doing this program via MS Teams platform. So we have a provision in MS Teams that we can download the attendance. So you need not to worry, you need not to post your attendance. Be focused, concentrate on the concentrate on the sessions, the program. Okay. Fourth point is I don't want to repeat this once again. In MS Teams, if you log in and if you do other work, we'll come to know that on hold. Okay, so we'll come to know that whether you are attending, you are there in the session, or you are just log in and you are doing other work. That part, please take care. When we download the attendance, if you are there in the meeting, you will get the attendance. If you are not there, later on, don't bother us, because after the completing the program within 7 days, 7 to 10 days time, we have to upload everything. Participant certificates, mandatory documents we have to upload, FTP report, recordings, photos, media coverage, attendance posting. See, the moment I complete the thing, I have to upload the attendance. Once those who are getting 80% and above attendance, only those people know their marks only I will be able to post in the assessment test side. Because the system, AICT, they have designed in such a way that if you don't have attendance 80%, then the assessment marks you cannot post. Please take care all these things, because these are the things, those who are doing first time, they may not be knowing all these things. Simply log in and do your work. And some of the participants, yesterday I had a very better experience that they started conducting class after joining this FDP. You conduct, no problem, but at least you have to mute yourself and you have to do. Okay? Just in a very open condition, audio on condition, they started teaching production planning and control and SPSS, all these classes. Please see that we are all faculty members. These are the minimum things we have to observe. Okay, with these few words, I hope Madam is there. Dr. Subhashri already joined?
Yes,
Madam?
sir. Yeah, I had an issue with my Teams, but I'm good now. Thank you so much, and thanks to Ravi Aditya sir for helping me out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can we start, Dr. Subhashri, Madam?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. We are going to start day 2 session now on technology and management education by Dr. Subhashri Nag, an eminent speaker and a practitioner. Somebody asked somebody, what are you doing? Okay, that person says that I am teaching. Same person asked another person, no, I don't teach, I do only research. And the same person asked the third person, no, I don't teach, I don't do research, I only offer consultancy. Okay? So today's session now, Dr. Shubhashri Nag, Madam, she is going to talk on technology and management education with a special reference to research activities and how you can write good papers and how you can publish your papers in good journals with high impact fact, and how you can improve your score, all those areas. Dr. Subhashri is going to speak. So I am happy to introduce Dr. Subhashri Nag to the participants. Dr. Subhashri Nag is a regional solutions consultant for the life sciences and scholarly research division at Clarivate. Dr. Subhashri completed her PhD from Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center, USA, and her postdoctoral training from Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, USA. A pharmacologist and toxicologist by training, she has more than 8 years of research experience in anti-cancer drug discovery and pharmacokinetics areas with 28 peer-reviewed publications and more than 1,000 citations. At Clarivate, she is involved in promoting Clarivate's drug recovery and scholarly research solutions, conducting author and research capacity workshops, bespoke consulting projects, etc. She was a co-author on the UGC Good Academic Research Practices Guidance document released in 2020. So we have a very eminent speaker who can talk across the research domain, none other than Dr. Subhashri Nag. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, sir, for the very warm introduction. So what we will do today is that we'll make this a very interactive session, and I am going to first start with a platform which many of you actually have. So I see a lot of people who have come from Bangalore University. Many of you actually have access to a platform called as Web of Science through the eShodh Sindhu Consortium. If you all do not have, even then, basically in the beginning, what I'm going to be covering with all of you is how do I do a systematic literature search in order to identify the state of art in my domain. So in your domain, we will be taking examples from artificial intelligence and blockchain, creating a reference library. How do I manage my references? And then we will go on to how do I publish in high impact journals. What are the things that I should look for while publishing in a journal to ensure that you do not get, or fall prey to predatory journals? I think Dr. Sengotavellu will also agree, and I'm sure all very eminent faculty attendees will agree that there's a big issue with low quality predatory journals. Though UGC care list is something that all of us follow, how can I still implement very common sense checks in order to not be trapped into that lure of these kind of journal? Exactly what are predatory journals, right? So as I said, I will show you across the platform. There won't be, it's early in the morning. I don't want us to just look at slides and all of us falling asleep. Let us make it very interactive. Whatever questions you have, please put them on the chat box. Every 25 or 30 minutes as I complete a part of the module, I will be monitoring the chat box to see what any questions that have come in, and I'll try to check. Everybody can see my browser screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you. So all the attendees today who are from any state university, like let's say Bangalore or any central university, even a lot of private colleges under AICTE, you all probably have access to Web of Science. The first thing I want all of you to do is please go ahead and give a call to your librarian or your, the committee who handles e-resources to see if you do have Web of Science or not. Another thing is that AICTE is providing a central Web of Science access to engineering and management colleges under AICTE, 50 colleges a year, and you can actually write a requisition. You can say that please help us get the access. So they have basically purchased, you can say, 50 license, and they decide the distribution. Okay, and I think the activity for getting suggestions for the new colleges will start right away. So if you all have got such emails, or if you have got such intimation from AICTE, be on the lookout. So I'll quickly to take you through Web of Science, because I do realize not all of you might have Web of Science access with you. This is a paid subscription database. I'm talking about it because it's from Clarivate, and also because a lot of you who are coming from central and state universities also have access to this platform through the MHRD InflibNet eShod Sindhu scheme. But the principles that I'll be discussing today on Web of Science, how to do a search, also apply if you're doing the search on any other database, even on Google Scholar. Now, the first thing that I want to impress upon all of you is whenever you are doing a search, okay, please try and go into a top-down approach. Try searching with a bigger concept and narrow down. So in this regard, what I'm going to do now is, can I have a volunteer who can give me 1 or 2 keywords on a research project that they are working on? You can put that in the chat window. Some keywords. Can we have some volunteers, please, with 1 or 2 keywords? Okay, somebody has given me investment behavior sentiment analysis. Okay, and somebody has also given me transportation. So I'll just make a comment here. When we talk about transportation is an extremely broad topic, sir. If I do a search either on the internet or on Web of Science database, I'll get too many results. So what we need to do, so I have got some nice examples. I have got cryptocurrency, I have got artificial intelligence and deep learning. I have also got writing workshops on scientific writing. Remember one thing, make your writing clear and crisp, and try and follow the Chicago style manual. That will be very helpful, I think.
Okay, ma'am. This academic workshop on scientific publishing. Can you suggest anything like any good site, something like that?
There are a lot by publishers also. Many a times we also do these for AICT. So if we do something like that, I'll pass on the details to Dr. Sengutavelu.
Sure, ma'am. And one more issue what I have come across is, so when I submit to a journal, say I have submitted initially to soft computing, they have accepted my work.
Right.
So very
Right.
similar to that, I submit another paper. So now
Okay.
they send that the paper is out of scope after keeping it for 6 months or so. So how do we
If we,
address this?
yeah, here unfortunately this is very much on the discretion of the editor. Okay, but having said that, try and if you're okay, 6 months is too much. First of all, if you don't get a rejection or that your paper has been sent for review within 2 weeks, you write to the editor. Don't get any
Okay.
other information from them. Immediately tell them that I'm withdrawing the paper. Because
Okay.
see, your journal might take time to review the paper. That is acceptable. But not even telling you that the paper is getting forwarded to the next stage or it is getting a desk rejection or not, that can be done within 2 weeks, right? So if you're not getting any intimation from a journal, that's unprofessional. Just write to the editor in writing that I am withdrawing the paper and then submit it. Your
Okay.
liability, or
Thank you so much,
obligation.
ma'am. But unfortunately, that is what is happening, ma'am. So standard journals like Elsevier or Springer, it at least takes 3 to 4 months to say that it is not suitable. Not even with
No,
the
no, no,
review.
no. You should keep on badgering the editor.
Okay.
Start, emailing them. Like give them too many reminders. At one point, it will work. Or if you are still not getting anything within a month, you should know that this is not going to work out. Just
Okay.
write to them saying that I am withdrawing the paper, because in the future if they come back and say, oh, you submitted the paper to us, but you never told, you will have proof at your hand, in your hands, that I already told you after a month that I'm not interested in sending in having my paper being reviewed or submitted in journal. I have given you a withdrawal notice. Why did you go ahead and review the paper? Right?
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Your session was very informative because this is a very difficult area, I should say. We all aspire definitely, but we all undergo a lot of difficulty
Yes.
with this, ma'am. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Is there a software or resource to write in journal? Oh, well, there is no software per se. I would really suggest not to use a software, but you have EndNote, which will format your references in that particular format of the journal. Okay, so EndNote is a great reference management and a bibliographic creation tool. Okay. So you can use that, but I would not really suggest using a software for the entire journal. There are some software that claim that they can format it according to that, but I would suggest the best way to do these things are manually. Have a look at the latest copy of the journal, how are the papers in that, and look at the scope to authors. Look at the author guidelines. That should be more than enough.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
can you please tell some kind of comparison between Mendeley and EndNote? What are the features in the EndNote?
I have already talked about the features. Unfortunately, I won't be able to
I
present.
want some kind of comparison with the
Unfortunately, I can't do that on a public platform
Oh,
because I
oh,
represent EndNote.
oh,
It would be unethical for me to compare with a competitor
no,
product.
it's not comparison. But I mean, just to tell what are the additional features you have in EndNote. For example, you compared Google Scholar with this thing, right?
Yes.
The similar one, can you please do?
So with Mendeley or any other, I think EndNote, as I told you, it has a lot of software. Journal styles. Okay, it is a very stable platform. It is freely available, 2 GB space. You can import from different databases. You can
Okay.
import from Google Scholar. You can import from uh, um, your Science Direct, anything, Science Direct and all. Just use the RIS format. So I think journal selection is a very difficult stage. Yeah, unfortunately, journal selection is a difficult stage for a research scholar. I have given you some tips, but the best way is to keep on reading, seeing I would suggest the best way to select a journal for anybody is see where are your peers, where are people who are well known in your field, working in the same area, where are they publishing? Very simple. Okay, so EndNote, lot more journal styles, easy to include the references from different databases, and finally, it also allows you to store under different folders and formats with 2 GB space, so more storage capacity. That would be the 3 main pointers of EndNote, which is the free version. We also have a subscription version, but at this time, I will not talk about the subscription version. I'll talk only about the free. So the online version I showed to all of you, that is the free version. So all of you can create an account over there.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Madam Shubha, Dr. Shubha, madam.
Yes, sir.
I would like to invite your comments on this. Some institutions they have a list of journals.
Right, sir.
And they also say that their research scholars they are expected to publish their papers in only those journals.
Okay, sir.
So in that way, don't you think that these research scholars are very much constrained?
They are constrained. Actually, I would say that they are constrained because what happens, sir, is that many new journals, many new journals are coming up, and several of these journals are headlined by well-known scientists in the field. So, if a research institution has this, close-minded approach, if I may say so, of selecting only that 20 journals that they have in their list for the past 10 years, they are missing out on these new journals, which maybe the contemporary researchers are looking more at those new journals, right? So they are going to miss out on citations also. So this is a constraint, no doubt about that, and I think the best way is to counter such constraints with evidence. Show them evidence from master journalists. Show them that, see, the JCI, it is more than one. That means the journal is performing better than average. People are getting more number of citations here. Why should I not publish? Show them metrics from Web of Science that see the articles in the journal are being cited by top research institutions across the world. Why should we not publish in this journal? Right? So whenever you are countering a particular mindset or thought process, the best way to counter it is with evidence. And this is what Web of Science and all these master journalists, everything provide you. They provide you evidence. Does it make sense, sir?
Yes, thank you so much. Just one more input. For example, an institution is publishing a journal, okay, in management discipline, management
Right,
area,
sir.
and it is a biannual journal.
Right, sir.
In a year, 2 editions only comes up.
Yes, sir.
Two issues only comes up.
Uh-huh.
Now that a journal is actually listed in the UGC CAR list. Is UGC CAR listed journal.
Right, sir.
Now, if I want to take this journal to the next level, maybe Web of Science indexed
Yes,
one
yes,
or
yes, yes, yes.
Scopus indexed one. Can you give me few tips, sir? You do one,
This,
two, three, four.
this, sir, if you are asking for tips, I will send you a web page link. Okay. So one tip, of course, is that we have 24 quality criteria. Look at the timeliness, look at the information that you are providing, look at the citation. So all of these questions you should be able to answer before you apply. So we actually have a web page, sir. So if you just can drop me an email, I'll forward you that webpage link and also with information as to how you can submit the journal for evaluation on Web of Science.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Yeah, dear participants, we have some more time to interact with Dr. Shubhashri Nag. If you have any questions, any queries, kindly ask so that Dr. Shubhashri Madam can answer.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is Dr. Jyoti from CIMT. And thank you so much for this informative session. I have just one question because at the beginning of the session, you have mentioned that you are going to discuss on systematic literature review or something. So if you can
Yes.
please add some of your comments on that part
Yeah.
as well.
So systematic, as
Thank
I
you so much.
told you right in the beginning, we started with that part is how to build a query. Whenever you're doing a systematic literature review, ensure that you're doing a top-down approach for searching for papers. Search for the latest papers and search for the most cited papers. Okay, so three things. Top-down approach means always start with a query or start with a concept which is broad. Okay, so I'll give you an example. If I understand correctly, sentiment analysis is a part of artificial intelligence techniques, right? And I saw a lot of deep learning, neural network, etc. in that. So again, I don't come from that field necessarily, but if I'm doing a search, what I'm going to do is I'll do the search with a broader term, right? Sentimental analysis, and then I will keep on adding keywords to that data set on Web of Science or Google Scholar and narrow down. If you remember on the advanced search on Google Scholar, you even have not. So you can also say, let's say, I'm just speculating that you have sentiment analysis, but you don't want papers which have the term deep learning in it. So you can put a not over there. So do a systematic literature review, and then once you have a data set of literature, try to see the publications which have recent, that is number one, and secondly which are well cited among them. So you will get to a data set of very relevant, impactful literature in order to understand the field of your interest. Does that make sense to you, Dr. I think Jyoti?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. This is a question I have no answer to, Sujata. How many months should the publisher take? There's no perfect answer to it. But as I said, the first intimation should be within a month that whether your paper is even going for review or getting rejected. If you are not getting an answer even after a month, that is not acceptable. And if you have written to the editor multiple times reminding them, about the fact and they are not responding, take your paper away. Withdraw your paper. Copyright permission, yes, you do require copyright. That is very easily, you'll have a copyright clearance rights and permissions link on any, journal web page. You should be able to. You don't have to pay anything, but yes, you do require copyright clearance for your own work too. And typically do not, if you're reproducing your own work in terms of, let's say, the language, try not to do that because that will count as self-plagiarism. You can just say this method was taken from Dinesh Hanchate et al. 2021. But don't copy the paragraph, the language per se.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. The moment we submit the paper to a journal,
Yes, sir.
after their process, no, peer reviewing process and all over, once they say acceptance, when they give the acceptance letter,
Mm-hmm.
they say that in that no, the copyright actually no goes with the journal editor, no.
Yes, the copyright goes with the journal editor. That's not a problem. But you require permission to reproduce. I think that was the question, right? If you want to use your own work, in the sense, let's say you have published a table or you have published a figure in your publication and you want to replicate that same figure from in another paper of yours, right? So of course you have to do the citation. You have to say this figure was taken from Hanchate et al. 2021. But in order to even use that figure, apart from the citation, you'll require copyright permission from the journal, which should not be a problem. They will give it to you. I mean, you just have to fill a form. It's a very, how do I say, automatic, like a kind of a record process. There's no, like, they will not say no to you. They never say no to the author.
Ma'am, that is the case. For example, when I cite 20, when I give 20 citations as part of my literature review,
Yes.
whether it's no, my work is there or others' work I'm going to use it or I'm going to cite. But I have to take the copyright permission from all these 20 journals.
No, 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 no. You don't have to take copyright permission for other things. No.
Mm.
You citing is different, sir. Here, I think the question was reproducing something.
And that's what.
Okay.
See, for example, as part of literature review, I want to
So you
take.
cannot reproduce. You can cite somebody, you cannot reproduce language, right?
No,
That
ma'am.
becomes
Actually,
plagiarism.
for example, some definitions, some concepts are coming.
No, that is not a problem. You can definition concept is not a problem. I
But
think the question is more like, I am using my work. It's mostly refers to tables and figures. You're taking a table, a panel of figures as is from your own paper,
already
earlier
published
paper.
one.
Yeah, already published. Then you will require copyright
That
permission.
means the data, no, you are taking from there.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Analysis, data,
Yes,
tools, maybe,
yes,
you know.
yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So the main operative word here is reproducing.
Ma'am, because this discussion has started, can you please discuss something on replication of study also? Like, what are the don'ts that we have to keep in mind when we are when anyone wants to replicate any study in
See,
different contexts?
replicate a study is not a problem. Are you copying the study in terms of language? Are you plagiarizing something? Or are you taking their paper as is, okay, the whole concept, and then trying to brand it as your own concept? That is wrong. Okay. You can always replicate a study and cite them. You can say that, we tried to replicate this study by Verma et al., which was published in Journal of Business Research, and this is the results we got. So you are giving appropriate, citation and credit. That is different replication. But let us say Verma et al. In 2021 published something about how social media influencers, they are the new form of marketing. And you have written a paper now in 2022, which is published on how people are using Instagram for advertising. Very similar concept, everything. If I got the citation more for the paper, Scopus has to add. Then I did not get the question, Mr. Hanchate. I don't understand the question. And again, sir, I am not qualified to answer anything on Scopus because I am not from Scopus, Elsevier. So I cannot answer on Scopus, unfortunately. So I will pass on this question. Though I didn't understand the question, that is number one. And second, I cannot comment on Scopus. But I hope, Jyoti, you have got my, point about replication.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Ma'am, regarding the content of a paper, as you said, the language cannot be reproduced.
Right.
But what about data as such, data analytics, graphs, bar graphs, charts, tables?
You should not. If it is, you should not be reproducing it from some other person, even with citation. It's not a good practice. Good journals will actually reject your paper.
I mean, are you saying that the data, in terms of charts, graphs, they're also copyrighted?
Yeah. So, for example, why should you be when you are saying I am going to reproduce a chart, that means your data is absolutely same as something which is already published before, right? If that is the case,
for example, if there is a contradiction, ma'am. For example, this data shows.
Then you can do it. That is different. You are adding new data to it, right? The very fact that you have contradiction means that what you have done the research and you have more data than the original, right? The original paper that you are citing. That is fine. That is fine. You're comparing and contrasting. That is fine, But if you are just trying to, put together 5 or 6 different graphs which you have, cobbled from different other papers, that's not acceptable. If I've given a paper permission for republication, I am not sure, sir, what you mean by republication. A paper permission for republication. You cannot give a paper. So I am guessing the question is that you are the author and somebody has contacted you and said that can they publish your graphs in their paper. Even if you are the author, you cannot give permission. It has to come from the journal. They are the ones, the publisher holds the copyright, not the author.
Any limitations on the number of authors on a paper, ma'am?
No, none. Journals might have it. That might be a journal specific thing, but otherwise, no.
Ma'am, in this context, for example, a paper is written by 4 authors.
Yes, sir.
Always the first author, it takes the more weightage.
There is a little bit. So typically, sir, how it happens is first author is typically in most cases a junior author, the person who is doing the majority of the legwork. So, for example, if you are an accomplished, you're a senior faculty, sir, you will most probably never be the first author. You will be the corresponding author. Corresponding author position indicates ideation of the project, whereas project execution is done by the first author in most disciplines. You have been given a permission. If I have given a permission, I have been given permission to republish by the editor. That is fine then. That means you have taken the copyright permission, right, sir? If you have been given permission by the, journal editor, then it's fine.
Ma'am, one more thing. This self-citation, for example.
Yes.
My earlier published papers, if I take something from those papers and
self-citation is not necessarily wrong. If all of us self-cite, we have to self-cite because research by nature has to be incremental in nature. You are building upon. But if let's say you have a paper, sir, Sengotu value in 2020 and Sengotu value let's say Sengotu value in 2015 and Sengotu value 2021. So Sengotu value 2015 is the older paper, but now if I see the citation, it has got 50 citations. Out of the 50 citations, 40 are your own citations, then something is wrong. There has to be a limit to the number of self-citations to actually indicate, impact in the community.
And actually, in some journals, these peer reviewers, the editorial board, they actually comment on this as far as possible self-citation, can be avoided or can be limited?
So that's what I'm saying, sir. If you have a paper today you're writing, sir, and you have 50 cited references in your paper, you cannot have 30 of those cited references, your bibliography from your own papers. That means nobody else is working in that field. You are citing your own work. That is something. So self citation can be maybe in your methods, or you're building upon your previous paper. Let's say out of 50, 5 self papers are from your own group. That is advisable, acceptable, but not a huge amount. So typical rule of thumb is 10 to 15%, not more than that self citation.
Thank you, madam.
Ma'am, I have a question regarding
Yeah.
building up from the previous work. So in case we have built up something from the previous work and around 20% of it from the previous work. So can we
Right.
also include that content in this new paper?
You can include the content, but it is preferable not to include the language unnecessarily. You can always say this was taken from, and just cite yourself, right?
Okay, and we should not reproduce the work, is it, ma'am?
Yes,
Because in case that
that
module
will
is
become
there.
self-plagiarism. That becomes
Okay.
self-plagiarism.
So, but in different words can be expressed. The words
You
can be
can.
okay.
But the good rule of thumb in academic writing is, if something can be avoided, if something is
Okay.
already there in the public domain in literature, what is
Okay.
the need for you to write it in other language?
Okay,
And
maybe
especially,
in short we can describe and say
maybe
the
in
work is
short you can
available there.
describe, yes, and then just tell them that this work is already available. And cite your work.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions from the participants, please? Any other questions, comments, queries?
Answer.
Yeah,
This
one
is a
more.
question. Yeah. This is very important. I'll just take, this is the last question I'll take, and then I'll end. Paper which is already published in a journal, can it be published in a book? No, not at all. If you have already published something in any format, do not publish it again. That becomes that becomes very unethical. You can be called out for that. The journal which has accepted your paper can call you out for that. So please don't do that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Dr. Subhashri, for a wonderful session on technology and management education with a special reference to research work, publishing research papers in journals, writing chapters in books. Really a wonderful session. How technology can be used maybe for getting the citations level or score level or the quality of the journal with reference to impact factor and journal indexing databases referring to those resources. Really a wonderful session. Particularly, I actually published a lot of papers. So I could get a lot of inputs and insights from your session. I hope that all the participants also would have got benefited the session by you. Thank you so much. Dr. Shubhasri actually interacting through via MS Team from Mumbai, her Mumbai office. Thank you so much, Madam, for your time and efforts for making the session in a very, very interactive manner. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, one and all.
And have a good day.
Thank you so much, Madam. Thank you so much. And